Hi everyone, I'm Law of the West, and I wanted to talk about the fourth system that they've announced for the game. The first one is obviously the Stanton system. Then next we have Pyro, and then we have Nyx. But after that, then what? During the height of the Xi'an Cold War, there was one system that sat on the Perry line that was ideal for staging a full-scale invasion into Xi'an territory, and that was the Castra system. A huge offensive base was built on Castra 2 in preparation for this. But war never came to these two races, and after the Cold War between them ended, the systems of the Perry line were divided up among the human and Xi'an. And Castra, of course, remained in the hands of the humans. This system consists of two planets, Bullseye and Cascom. The first planet in this system, Castra 1, is a dead, coreless planet. It's too close to the sun to be terraformed, so the Navy in its infinite wisdom, of course, decided to use it for target practice, which earned it its nickname Bullseye. All the weapons testing has been done to it over the course of the Messer era has left it covered in craters. And its environment is incredibly toxic. So any ground expeditions are going to require people to use a high-end environmental suit. And if that wasn't enough, it's also going to be plagued by raging storms. Raging, toxic storms, the likes of which would probably make my ex stand in proud admiration of. But all this risk is not going to be without rewards. These environmental nightmares have caused erosion that's left some unique minerals exposed on the surface that are just waiting for some brave, if not suicidal, adventurers to come and claim them for themselves. The second planet is Cascom. This was the staging ground for the military, but since then it's been opened up to the general public. The surface of the planet has high mountains, thick forest, and Great Lakes. And at the highest point on Mount Ulysses is the Sherman landing zone, which is known by its residents as the Island in the Sky. The dominant landmark that sits dead center of the station is Spaceport Ulysses. This is where the military used to launch bombers from that were constantly on active rotation, so that they'd be immediately ready to respond to any signs of aggression. But these days it's mostly a commercial spaceport. There is, however, still an active military base located here. And commercial hangars are located inside of the main trench, and all along the outside of it you'll see reminders of the station's past. One such remnant is the original AOV-9 orbital cannons that line the defensive walls. Most of them have been decommissioned, but they still kept a few of them active just in case. The Sparrow Industrial Yard is home to Sherman's manufacturing plants and a series of sprawling cargo yards. It used to be a munitions and supply depot, but now it's been converted into a modern-day industrial park, because apparently even industry needs a little playtime. And to the right side of the industrial park is Fort Riggs. This initially housed the ridiculously large amounts of infantry that they intended on using for the ground assault against the Xi'an Empire, but after being decommissioned it was turned into a business park. This area also has become the government center of Cascom, so it's permanently stained by the reeking smell of petulant old men and broken promises. And from all these locations you can see the commercial district that sits high above them on the upper wall. And one of these spots is the Ansall Shopping Complex. This area was originally the command center for Sherman's military operations, and now it sells cheap keychains and hilarious bumper stickers. And inside this building you'll find certain iconic locations like the Edge of Oblivion Bar, which was the old officers' lounge. You'll also find the headquarters of Eckhart Security and the Mercenary Guild HQ. Eckhart really gets around, and he started out at Levski and then was kicked over to Lorville, and now he's going to be exiled all the way over to Castra. At this point, I think he's logged in about a couple billion AUs on his frequent flyers card. On the left of this picture are the OPA towers that are used for temporary and long-term housing. And on the right is the Imperial Sherman Infirmary. This is also where the Reeves Military Museum is located. And lastly, there's Overlook Point, which is the name of the park and vantage point that's in front of the Central Command. So those are going to be some of the key areas that you'll find within the Sherman landing zone. This place really feels like it's a mix of all the best things that the other landing zones have to offer. It has a gorgeous view from above the clouds of the surrounding vista, much like you do with Orzen, but it also has ground beneath your feet, and also huge lakes and large forests, much like you'd find on Microtech, minus the frigid weather and giant yetis. But the downside to Castra is that this system only has one other planet, and it's incredibly inhospitable. And only having two planets means that there's not going to be much of a need for additional locations on the space map, like rest stops, other space stations, or additional points of interest. There is one other thing that struck me about this system, and is that one day it's going to be the gateway to the Xi'an Empire. And when that day comes, this is going to be one of the most sought after pieces of real estate that the game has to offer. Because at that point, if you don't own a piece of it, then you're going to want to make friends with someone who does. Because this is going to be the last stop you're going to end up making before entering into alien space, and who knows what that journey is going to end up being like. I also like how Castra is isolated but also safe, and that it has a sizable military presence in the area but not a lot of governmental oversight. Well, that's going to be it for this video about the fourth system. I've been your host, Law of the West. Thanks for watching, and take care.